Going to go ahead and start for the Zero Environmental Risks in Building Materials presentation at 1 o'clock. So the program objectives is to discuss the only zero tolerance standard to date, attempting to successfully eliminate all risk to humans in the flooring installation materials category. There's adhesives. There's grouts. And then there's coatings, sealers, and cleaners. So how do we measure their safety? There's obviously, we've probably all heard of SDS sheets, product safety data sheets. And those give you a highlight, insight, however you want to look at it, into what's in the products and their safety profile. There's contaminants in these products that you have to be aware of that have effect on the indoor air quality. Things we know as volatile organic compounds, VOCs. Go ahead. OSHA has a standard for crystal silica, Respirol crystal silica. It's a common mineral that's found in construction materials such as sand, stone, concrete, brick, and mortar. When workers cut, grind, drill, or crush these materials that contain the silica, very small particles are created, and that's what creates the hazard. OSHA's standard, there's a standard for that, requires employees to limit worker exposures to Respirol silica and take other steps to protect the workers. The elimination is one thing that they work towards, which generally means the process of alteration or a change in technology so these hazardous substances are no longer needed. The benefits are workers are no longer exposed, the environment's no longer contaminated, and through unused materials, the output of ventilation systems are important. There's control of dust sources, so there's substitution of materials. If elimination is impossible, you substitute other things like leadless glazes, titanium dioxide, zinc oxide pigments. There's changes that are made in the materials themselves. Standards for grouts and mortars, tile and stone industry. You're probably all familiar with these various standards, but all of the products fall within those. So hazards within these products used every day. Here's where we get into sort of the meat of the presentation. You can look on the SDSs and you can see what they call the GHS, the Global Harmonized Standard labeling for these products. Some of them are just irritating, others corrosive. There's the one with the exploding lung that has serious health effects that can be both lung, kidney, liver, different types of exposure risks. And then there's those that are dangerous for the environment. And then the bottom one is the transportation icon that shows that whether it's hazardous for transportation or not. So here's a section taken from a common thin set used every day. Within this, you'll see that there are health hazards listed as serious eye, skin, and then there's specific target or organ toxicity for even a single exposure. And it has the icon for the corrosive, which is the pipe or the hand being eaten away by the chemistry, and it's got the exploding lung icon for the lung or organ toxicity. So this is another common adhesive used every day, and it has really kind of the same thing, and you look at the different categories in there within that, and it talks about, I'll just highlight, it's a category 2 for lung. It can be repeated exposure, sometimes even single exposure, but here you're just looking at the safety data sheet. Go ahead to the next one. Here's a product marketed as a green epoxy. Again, we're not talking about brands or anything here. That's not what we're doing. We're just trying to look at some of the different things that are done. This particular epoxy is marketed as green, but yet it has the dead fish and the dead tree because it has a serious effect on environment. And the reason it's marketed as green is 1% or more is nut oil, or they use cashew nut oil in it, so that takes some of the petroleum out of the product. So that's the reason they market it as green. This shows in the SDS the disposal considerations. You have to collect and reclaim or dispose in sealed containers at a licensed waste disposal site, this particular epoxy chemistry. It's even the buckets that it was mixed in needs to be taken to a licensed disposal site and disposed of that way as hazardous waste. Most people don't really drill into the SDS to understand this, but this is not something you can just throw in the normal garbage. Again, these are the icons to be looking for in the safety data sheet. Now we'll talk about ZHERORisk. This is an interesting thing to discuss because it's fairly new to the U.S. market, but in 2016, the European Union actually funded a project called Project Zero. Zero was an acronym for Zero Environmental Risks in Our Buildings. What the EU decided to do was to put some money into a project that would take the products that are typically corrosive and very hazardous that are used to install flooring and try to take those risks down to zero. It was, to highlight here, there's obviously the European Union flag, the different governmental areas, and also the universities that were involved in this project. It's not a project that is brand specific, has nothing to do with brand. What it had to do with, they took all of the different manufacturers of thin sets and grouts, adhesives and stuff, and asked them all to submit for inclusion into the project. And then a grant was awarded, and they worked in the R&D facility for a period of 2 years, and in the end, the universities certified the results. So Project Zero, again, what I said, zero environmental risks in our building is 2.5 years to provide a replacement to existing tile installation products. The majority of these outdated chemistries pose health and safety concerns for installers who have serious short and long-term environmental impacts. So the point here is now you have a choice. There's products that are hitting the U.S. market that you can specify that don't have the risks that are typically associated with these high-performance chemistries. So again, it was a 2016 European Union project that was funded, and the major universities that were involved in the project from very beginning to certification of the final results. So what does this mean for tile and stone installation systems? The initial launch of ZHERORisk products included a solvent-free waterproofing. From this came ready-to-use liquid membrane for waterproofing, and then came a two-part adhesive for ceramic tiles, glass tiles, and natural stone. Then an acid-resistant epoxy mortar setting product for the installation and grouting of ceramic tiles. And eventually, one of the goals of Project Zero was to improve the earthquake performance of cement. There actually was an innovation in this, which is there's an earthquake value improvement in cement. They call it seismic cement. It isn't in the market today, but they're working on the next tests and the next evolution of this product and how it could affect the market. With regard to a very highly ductile cement product that returns to its original form after an earthquake. So the results are, in the end of this project, they have ZHERORisk products. They're given, they have literally no VOCs. They're safe for the installer. They're safe for the environment. There's no risk in the homes for the projects. And they're also, in the end, there's not a risk to the environment with regard to the disposal considerations of these products. So again, the point here is you can choose a very high-performing product that don't have the environmental risks or installation risks associated with it. Also, one of the inventions of this product was an IMO certification, which means International Maritime Organization. They certified the products that they're not only flame resistant, but they're self-extinguishing. So now you have a choice. You can have products that can be put into a tile installation system that not only won't contribute to a fire, they can help extinguish a fire. So ZHERORisk, as far as defining the future, this product is a very high performance set series of products. So installing today's ceramic tiles on facades, and then laying thin porcelain stoneware slabs, interior and exterior, are possible with these. All of them have product EPDs, environmental product declarations. I'm not going to dive too deep into that in this conversation because we wouldn't have the time, but all of them do have product EPDs and they are certified. So went through it as quick as I could just so I'd have time for questions. I wasn't sure who would show up, but I don't know if you have any questions. So the two-part adhesive, the question is it cement-based or is it epoxy? The ZHERORisk products are difficult to get into a cement product because you generally have some type of a silica or something in there that's respirable that's going to kind of take it out of that. So the answer to the question is these are all two-part epoxies that qualify for the ZHERORisk program. So, what's that? That's a chemistry question. I don't know how to answer it, sorry. But the biggest part with epoxies is part B. The catalyst part is the most dangerous part of the epoxy for the installer that's using it. But these products in the ZHERORisk are only irritants, so generally your installers have almost no exposure risk at all. They can be transported non-hazardous, they can be air freighted to projects where you might run short. But it's a big deal in the environmental side of things because you're not throwing away products that are going to go into the landfill and be a contaminant. So, any other questions? Okay, that's what I got. Appreciate you guys showing up.